doing my master's with Dr. Haley Clements and Dr. Matthew Child, supervised at the Center for Sustainability Transitions. I am 1 year into my 2-year master's. I'm looking at the social ecological impacts of rangeland carbon credit projects in Sub-Saharan Africa. Rangelands were mentioned yesterday in the form of a rangeland economy, and I'm sure most of you already know, but rangelands are savanna, grassland, shrubland ecosystems that cover almost half of Africa, and they are multifunctional landscapes in that they consist of livestock, wildlife, agricultural land uses. They are social ecological systems because the health of these ecosystems are directly related to how they are managed and utilized. So humans and nature have a really close relationship in these ecosystems. Rangelands are also keystones for livelihoods, biodiversity conservation, and carbon storage. And globally, rangelands are experiencing increasing risk and threat to these keystones due to climate change, land use degradation, land use competition, human-wildlife conflict. And nature-based solutions are needed to address these challenges. Carbon credits and the advent of the markets for climate change mitigation presents a unique opportunity in Africa to address these challenges and channel finance into the triple bottom line impact. I don't know how much people know about carbon markets, but in Africa, and especially in these systems, nature-based carbon projects can be designed around improving land management, which will sequester more carbon or reduce emissions, and that can be traded on markets, which can channel finance into these systems. Carbon credits, in theory, therefore, present this powerful tool to drive climate action with these dual socioeconomic and environmental benefits. But in practice, a lot of projects have also fallen short in realizing their promised outcomes due to capacity and governance and financial constraints in just the project development process. A lot of projects have been questioned for their integrity and the false reporting, especially with the reduced deforestation projects, carbon projects. So the ability for these projects, this market-based instrument to deliver on the triple bottom line impact still remains largely, poorly understood. So my research project looked at carbon removal projects across Sub-Saharan Africa through 7 different standards. That was looked at essentially 49 different projects that had been issuing credits already. So that means money has been flowing into these systems technically. For a project to have credits issued, they need to be verified with a third-party auditor and have monitoring reports to show the impacts that they're trying to realize and how they will realize it. And then I looked at the impacts, specifically the benefits. Below, this graph on the left just shows the different kinds of nature-based carbon projects happening in Africa. I excluded the carbon reduction projects and mostly of the reduced deforestation projects. So what I found when looking at the publicly available verification and monitoring reports, I found 500 different impacts listed across the 49 projects, with only 10% of those impacts being listed being climate related with regards to like how much carbon was sequestered. And the majority of the other impacts listed were environmentally related with regards to the conservation and restoration impacts of these projects. Next was economic, with impacts monitored through carbon payments, jobs, livelihoods, gender equity. The next one was social impacts with regards to the training and infrastructure that these projects financed. Health with regards to food security and can't remember the other one now, food security. And then governance was the inclusive participation that these projects fostered with the communities, because rangelands they include private, communal and state land tenures. The graph on the right shows the different impacts that each project listed. So you can see, to be expected, each project listed the climate impacts, which they have to. But there's a lot of variation between those 7 different standards on like what other economic and environmental benefits or impacts you also have to list. But you can see that most projects also majority listed environmental and economic impacts. So when asking the question if this mechanism or instrument can be utilized for the triple bottom line impact, the climate impacts were expected, but there are also more dimensions of well-being being reported on, showing the potential for this mechanism to be realized for a landscape approach to sustainable use. The next steps in my research will include looking at the specific project characteristics of where they are, how big they are, what methodologies they're using to kind of to unpack what projects are successfully issuing credits and what the enabling conditions might be for that. The difference in standards, so what standards are requiring more. I mean, for instance, Vera, which is the biggest standard, requires sustainable development contributions to be embedded in the projects. And then also the quality of the projects, so of the impact. So I just listed the different impact domains, but the next step will be looking at the actual, for instance, how many projects listed food security as an impact specifically. Yeah, that's me. Thank you.